Hi, English learners and viewers. Welcome back to my channel, Learn English with LSV, Lingua Franca. Today we are going to learn important concept or a topic. What exactly is English? Why only the English language is learned across the globe, not any other language? Why so much of importance is given only for English? I have only one answer. English is a global language. English is a lingua franca at this point of time. Wherever you go, you can find people speaking in English. English has become an universal language that connects people across the globe. What exactly is English? What is your understanding about English? Why do people find difficult to learn the language called English? Why not any other languages? Why has English become one of the most widely spoken and studied languages in the world today? Why do people in different countries speak English differently? And have you ever noticed that some words are spelled differently in Britain and in American? So, there are different ways of speaking in English, in different accent and in different usages. There are different varieties of the English language. In this video, we are going to understand English from the very beginning. We will discuss what is English, what is a language, how did English develop, why should we learn English, what are the major types of English, what is British English and American English, what are the major differences between British and American English, and which one should you learn? So let us get started with the first point. What is a language? Before we understand English, let us first understand the meaning of language. I hope you people remember from my last video, lingua franca means bridge language. English is considered to be bridge language that bridges people across the globe. In other words, I would say a language is a system of communication used by people to express their thoughts, ideas, feelings, informations, and experiences with others. We communicate through language using such as words, sounds, sentences, grammar, writing, gestures, and expressions. For example, when we say I am hungry, we are communicating a particular idea. When we say, could you please help me? We are communicating a request. So language is much more than simply a collection of words. Language has a structure, it has a grammar, it has a pronunciation, it has vocabulary, and it has rules that help people understand one another. There are thousands of languages spoken around the world, including Hindi, Kannada, Tamil, Malayalam, Spanish, French, German, Arabic, Chinese, Japanese, and of course, lingua franca, English. Next, what is English? Now, let's come to our main question. What is English? English is a West Germanic language that developed in England and later spread around the world. Today, English is a global language. Again, I repeat, English is a global language. It is used in education, business, science, technology, tourism, aviation, hospitality, international communication, entertainment, the internet, diplomacy, in whatnot, in everything that you find, English is present. The presence of English is felt in every domain. English is also an official or widely used language in many countries today. But there is something important to understand. English is not spoken exactly the same way everywhere. Let me stress on this point again. English is not spoken exactly the same way everywhere. We find differences. The English spoken in London may sound different from the English spoken in New York. The English spoken in India may sound different from both. The English spoken in Australia, Canada, Ireland, South Africa, and New Zealand can also have their own characteristics. These are called varieties, dialects, or the forms of English. The influence of mother tongue, you can find it when you speak in English. Next, to understand modern English, we need to take a quick look at its history. English developed primarily in England, but it was influenced by several languages over many centuries. Today we are in 21st century. The evolution of English language is completely different from the time it began. The history of English is commonly divided into three major periods: Old English period, Middle English period, and Modern English period. Now let me start with Old English period. Old English was used roughly from the 15th century to 11th century. It was different from the English we speak today. I don't know how many of you agree with me. In fact, modern English speakers would find Old English extremely difficult to understand. Second, Middle English. In Middle English developed after the Norman conquest of England in 1066. French had a significant influence on English vocabulary during this particular period. Many English words related to government, law, administration, food, and culture have French origin. That's why we have some French words in English. Third, we have something called modern English that we are using today. Modern English developed gradually from the late Middle English and early modern English periods. The invention and expansion of printing helped standardize written English, and later English spread throughout the world through trade, to exploration, colonization, migration, education, and global communication. Today, English has become a truly international language, a language that connects people across the globe. Now comes an important question. Why should we learn English? Why not any other language? There are many reasons. Reason 1, education. English is widely used in higher education and in academic researches. Many textbooks, journals, research papers, courses, and educational resources are available only in English majorly. If you understand English well, you can access a huge amount of knowledge. So, in order to gain knowledge, you need a language called English as the primary language. Reason 2, career opportunities. English can be extremely valuable in the workplace. I hope no one will deny that fact. Many multinational companies use English for meetings, emails, presentations, reports, training, customer service, and international communication. Good English communication can therefore be an important professional skill that is required in this modern era. Reason 3, travel. Everybody likes traveling throughout the world, maybe nationally or internationally. The one common language that unites us all is lingua franca, English. Imagine traveling to another country. You may not know the local language, but English can often help you communicate at airports, hotels, restaurants, tourist attractions, transportation centers. This is particularly important for the people working in hospitality and tourism. I am working in a college where hospitality and tourism is given much importance. So I know the value of learning a language called English, lingua franca, the modern magic. Reason 4, technology, which no one can avoid today. A huge amount of technology related information is available in English. Programming languages, technical documentation, software manuals, online courses of course, tutorials, and technology news frequently use English. Reason 5 is entertainment. English gives you access to a huge amount of movies, television shows, music, podcasts, YouTube videos, books, social media content. Learning English can allow you to understand this content without always depending on subtitles or translations. Reason 6 is international communication. English is often used as a common language between people who have different native languages. Please refer back the previous video where I was speaking about the Japanese, an Indian, and Australian. How do they communicate? What is the common language that they can speak and make the other people understand? That is lingua franca, English. For example, imagine a person from India speaking with someone from Germany. Neither person's first language may be the other's language. They may communicate in English. This is one reason English is often described as global lingua franca. Global lingua franca. Next, is English the most spoken language in the world? According to me, it is yes. This question requires some clarification. If we count native speakers only, English is not the world's largest first language by number of speakers. English is spoken by the other people more than the native speakers or more. However, when we include both native and non-native speakers, English is among the world's most widely used languages. This is importance of English. This is important because English has a very large international community of learners as well as users. And that's what makes English particularly powerful as a global means of communication. Next, we are moving on to something very, very important. Types of varieties of English. Now let us talk about the different types of English. There isn't just one single way to speak English. We have varieties such as British English, American English, Canadian English, Australian English, New Zealand English, Irish English, South African English, Indian English, and even we have Singapore English, Philippine English, and many more we can add on. These varieties share the same fundamental language, but they can differ in pronunciation, vocabulary, spelling, grammar, expressions, and accent. Today we are going to focus particularly on two major varieties that is prevalent across the globe. One is British English and another one is American English. What is British English? Let me take you to the history back. British English refers broadly to the varieties of English used in the United Kingdom. This includes England, Scotland, Wales, and Northern Ireland. Although English is spoken differently across these regions, British English is often associated internationally with a certain spelling, conventions, and vocabulary. For example, color, center, theater, traveling, all these have a different spellings for American and British English. These spellings are commonly used in British English. British English also has a distinctive vocabulary. For example, lift instead of elevator, flat instead of apartment, holiday instead of vacation, queue instead of line, football instead of saucer, biscuit instead of cookie, petrol instead of gasoline. These are all these some of the examples that I'm giving you so that you understand better. And next, we are moving on to what is American English. What is the history back? American English refers to the varieties of English commonly used in the United States. American English developed from English brought to North America and was subsequently influenced by the history, culture, and languages of the United States. American English has some different spelling conventions. For examples, I said British English like color, spellings are there. Color in British English. In American English, it is Color. Like this, we have different spellings for American and British English. Now, let us compare between American English and British English. Neither variety is better or more correct. They are simply different standard varieties of English. The difference is spelling and differences in vocabulary, differences in pronunciation and the sound, differences in grammar, differences in date formats, differences in time expressions, and differences in punctuation and style. Next, there might be a question arising. Which English should I learn? Whether it is a British English or American English. Now, we come to the most important question. The answer is learn the English that is most useful for your goals. If you are studying in a British oriented educational system, working with British organizations, or preparing for a context where British conventions are expected, British English may be the natural choice that you should be choosing. If you are planning to study or work or communicate extensively in the United States, American English may be the more useful, but here is something very important. You do not need to learn only one variety. If you know the simple mantra of English, the formula for English, learning variety of English is not that difficult. Focus on little bit of grammar, vocabulary, pronunciation, listening, speaking, reading, writing. Once you have a strong foundation, learning differences between varieties becomes much easier for you to learn further. Which English is used in India? India has its own well-established variety called Indian English. Indians are having a great advantage. Wherever you go, whichever the country that you visit, you learn things, you learn the language, keeping in mind the base of your country, that is India. Indian English has developed through India's history, educational system, multilingual environment, and interactions with British English and American English. It can have its own vocabulary, expressions, pronunciation patterns, grammar preferences, cultural differences. For example, let me give you a scenario. Prepon are widely understood in Indian English. Indian English is not simply bad British English or incorrect English. It is a recognized variety of English shaped by the Indian linguistic and cultural environment. However, when communicating internationally, it is useful to be aware of expressions that may be unfamiliar to people from other English speaking countries. Next important point is that English is more than grammar. People are afraid to learn the language called English purely because it has lots of grammar rules and regulation. But let me tell you, English is more than grammar. Many people think learning English means memorizing grammar rules, like mathematics. But language learning is much broader. To communicate effectively, you need four major skills that we call it in English L, S, or W. L stands for listening, S stands for speaking, R stands for reading, W stands for writing. Listening, understanding what other people say, and speaking, expressing your thoughts clearly and naturally. Don't be artificial, or don't be feared to express your opinions. Third, we have reading, understanding written information. Fourth, we have writing. In writing, communicating ideas accurately through your text. And behind all four skills, vocabulary, grammar, pronunciation, and most importantly, practice. You cannot become an effective English communicator by studying grammar alone. You need to use the language. What is the meaning of using the language? Means speaking, opening your mouth, speaking, framing small sentences, small phrases, communicating with the people, and through trial and error method, you learn the global language called English. How to improve your English is the next question that comes. If you want to improve your English, try these simple habits. Listen every day. Listen to English news, podcast, interviews, films, documentaries, YouTube videos, at least for 5 minutes in a day. Speak every day. Don't wait until your English is perfect. Speak, make mistakes, correct them. Speak again and again. Make mistakes again and again, correct them again and again. And read regularly. Read newspapers, books, articles, blogs, and professional documents. Learn vocabulary in context. English is a very easy language if you try to understand according to its context. Don't simply memorize. It's a waste of time. Opportunity. Take chance. Instead of learning it through a sentence, context helps you to remember vocabulary and use it naturally. Next, what you can do, you can record yourself. Speak for 1 or 2 minutes and record your voice. Then listen to yourself. Ask, was I clear? Did I pronounce the words correctly? Did I use the grammar correctly? This is a very effective method one can choose to use. Another important message for young English learners. If English is not your first language, remember one thing, making mistakes is normal. Let me repeat it 1,000 times. Making mistakes is normal. Mistakes are the proof that you are making a progress. Nobody becomes fluent overnight. There is a saying in English, practice makes a man perfect. You may make mistakes with grammar, pronunciation, vocabulary, sentence structure, or tenses. That's okay. That's normal. Any learner makes a mistake. Please admit your mistake, correct it, and improve yourself. The important thing is to learn from those mistakes. Don't think too much. My English is poor, so I shouldn't speak in English. Instead, think in that way. I am learning, so I should speak more. Confidence comes through practice. One single mantra for speaking in English, I would say confidence comes through practice. The more you speak, the more confidence that you gain. So, coming to the end of this video, let us quickly recap today's lesson. We have learned what is language, we have learned what is English, and why should one learn English, how many types of English are there, what is British English, what is American English, and most importantly, British English is not better than American English, and American English is not better than British English. They are simply different varieties of the same language. If you like this video useful, like, subscribe. Let us learn together, grow together. Thank you for listening to my speech. Take care. Bye bye. Meet you in the next video.